I'm destined for great things. So, and I've understood that money calls me daddy. Black people, the minute you ask them to say, how much do we need to pay you? We're the only culture, the only people that laugh. Your money is not a laughing matter. So if ever there's one time that you need to be serious about you being asked that question, to say, so how much do we need to pay you? That's the one time in the interview you need to be most serious. Do not, I repeat, do not make money your competing factor. Okay. If someone doesn't afford you, they can rather move to someone else. I do not run a business for black people. I'm running a business. We're more chasing information that has to do with tenders than with information that has to do with empowerment.
Why I wanted you to listen to this conversation is his story is one that challenges. I lost everything and had to start over from zero. But for him, his reality growing up was growing up in an informal settlement. Everyone in the room now knows what that picture looks like, right? I only tasted that for 2 years, and it was in an informal settlement. And there's something that we always say, that your environment shapes you. But when you look at someone like him and where he started, I think it's shocking that the environment did not shape him in the conventional way that we think your environment shapes you. He still says, that environment shaped me. But to sum it up, he is in business rescue. If you understand, one of the few blacks that are in business rescue. If you know what that sector is like, you have an idea what the invoice sizes are. He's multiple award-winning entrepreneur over the past couple of years. Multiple investments in property as well, and multiple investments in other businesses. I think he let slide that there's another business he was involved in that made 60 million, and I'm sitting and thinking, yeah, one off. You have an idea now. We have context. Can we go deeper? Bro, welcome.
No, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
So, I went to change because he looked at me and said, you didn't tell me we were wearing suits. Now we're the same. Bro, can you introduce yourself and give people, I think, that background?
So, mom comes from Lesotho, dad comes from Swaziland. They met in the middle, and voila. I always say, as a child, you don't choose the type of background you get born in. Let me repeat that. As a child, you don't choose the type of background that you get born in. But as you grow, then you get to choose the kind of life you want to end up in. So I grew up in an unfortunate environment. My mother was my dad's third wife. And whatever between them happened. So then now I found myself staying where my mother comes from, or being raised by the dad. So it got to a point in 1990, my mother felt she wants to become independent and have her own house. So in Wattville, there's an informal settlement called Lakeview. It's got a beautiful name. You'd think it's something fancy, and it's an informal settlement. So, and it was right behind a cemetery. So now we set up informal settlements there. So, and we had one public toilet, one public tap. So, having to go to school, the distance that one had to walk, going there. So one of the experiences that I'll never forget is I used to go to school with shoes that had holes underneath. So for those that have kids, a toughest, a toughest shoe. A toughest shoe gets worn out in such a way that it ends up becoming shiny and it breaks right in the middle. So, and even a school jersey. For most interesting thing, I don't know whether is it how it's manufactured or whatever, it shows you on there, that it's torn. And that's how you get to see kids that are doing well and that are not, And for me, the reason I'm saying this, because even now, as I was chatting, there's a lady I was talking to We've just delivered for her 150 school shoes that are going to be delivered and sponsored to schools. You know. So we try to at least a year of a target of 1,000, because how I grew up as a black child, I didn't understand. And now I'm living in a life where I want to try by all means to say if we could make it better for other people, or for other children, that they don't have to experience what I've experienced, then that is the case. So I went to a township school, both primary and high school, and because the situation was so bad at home, so then I had to then now move from one worse situation to the next. So I have to move from living with my mother to be living with my grandfather and be practically living out of his pension money. And at the time, the pension money, was not enough. Therefore, my grandfather will sell cold drinks and whatever at school, at home, to almost compensate. So therefore, I was that boy that in high school, that's when I started my business. I'd go to school with a plastic, not a bag, one plastic of my books going to school, and another plastic of cakes and sweets that I'm going to sell at school, so that I'm able to pay school fees or even able to pay books. So, and I must repeat, to say as a black child, I didn't understand. And the reason I didn't understand is because I met along the way that children that were living better. And I couldn't understand to say, how come these ones are living better? How come these ones, are having a meal, are having this and this and that, My mother was volunteering at the local clinic, so they would be doing food schemes. So now we'll always be getting donated butter, peanut butter. Some of you don't know, or there's even powder eggs, that you'll put with water, and you'd put the powder eggs and you'd stir. And when you're putting in the pan, and then from there, they start changing formulation. Even to date, I cannot. So in such a way that there's things like those that I was forced to eat. And I didn't have a choice, and that's why some of those things today I don't eat.
Can you list them?
No, I overate them. I overate them. So now it got to a point where even there's a point in my life where I even had to live at an orphanage with my brother. The situation got so bad that we had to go live at an orphanage. I think he left it in orphanage. There's an orphanage called Kids Heaven. Lived there for about 2.5 years. Then came back and lived with my grandfather. And even from that life on its own, there's kids, street kids that would run away from the orphanage, or others will be found and they'll be brought in, and the likes. So, and yeah. That I think on its own, it's an experience. Let me not go there. So, but it got to a point where in grade 11, I had to drop out of school, because the situation was so dire. And I just couldn't be that child that sits home and do nothing. I just couldn't be that child that accepts the situation. So therefore, I wanted to change the situation. So, and at the time, I had taught myself computers from a book. One time in library, I found this file. It was showing you how to put together a computer and whatsoever. So that's how I actually learned. So then I was fixing computers at school, at library, and whatsoever. So therefore, I saw this newspaper ad. At the time, the Star used to on Wednesday to have a workplace where they advertise jobs and stuff. So I found this ad. They were looking for IT technicians, and I sent an application. So they appointed whoever they appointed. Then later, the owner of the company called me. So at the time, there was no cell phones, so you'd call at home. So then from there, I was called, and then this guy said to me, dude, our ad was clear. We want metric, A+, N+, and metric, and experience. You don't even have any. You are still in grade 11. Why did you bother to apply? So I said to the person to say no, because I believe qualification is nothing but a piece of paper. So then he says to me, come for an interview. I went for an interview. When I got there, he was speaking all this jargon that I couldn't understand. And I said to him, no, I don't understand what you're talking about, but one thing that I can do is to put together a computer. And, and one thing is, when you were leaving the township going there, I was told to say, when you are, they ask you, do you want something to drink? You must say, you know. So do you want something to eat? You must say, you know, because right now, if you say, they'll see that you are hungry from where you're coming from. So in that hunger, they kept on asking me, and I kept on saying, you know, I kept on saying. So eventually, this guy went to a meeting, then left. They left me to put together this computer. By the time he came back, I was installing an operating system. And now this time, he said, "Are you sure you don't want something to eat?" I said, "No, I do." You know, because now I had confidence to say what I'm here for. At least it's that, yeah. So I was given an opportunity, and one thing that I wanna say with that story. When I got there at the gate, at the time I'd never known there's even Centin that existed. I mean, we went to an office park in Ilovo. You know, I saw young people, you know, of different colors, black, white. They were driving out with Cosas, Golfs, and whatsoever. And for me, the closest people that I've seen living that life was thugs in the township. So then here was I in this place. Then from there, seeing these young people, I mean, they had a contact center there, you know, coming to work, and others were leaving, going to buy lunch and whatever. So for me, that was my first experience that showed me possibilities, you know, and even sitting there with that, for me, that told me to say, have you ever been somewhere knowing that you don't belong here, you know, but now a part of you feels that I can get used to this. You know, this is actually what I deserve, or this is what I belong, you know. And I was given the opportunity to actually work there. I got to work, but that became short-lived because almost 2 years later, that company was bought by an American company, so they were leaving. They needed technicians. And guess what? I couldn't qualify because I didn't even have a qualification. You know, I didn't even have school. So therefore, I had to go back to the very same township that I come from. Sure. You know, now when parents were calling out to their kids and whatever, they will say, you'll end up like him. You know, so if you leave school or if you don't listen, look, now he went to Joburg, now he's back. You know, it's as if life, you know, had really showed me flames, you know. And for me, that, I think it's one of the things that I think made me, I mean, I was now, I guess, getting to an adulthood. And it's one of the things that gave me the realization to say, you can come from somewhere, you know, or you could come from wherever you come from. And it's not everyone that is surrounding you that is celebrating you when you win. And when you fail, it's the more others clap to say, you see, you know, you failing, what were you trying to do? You know, and in the midst of that, God being good, the late Mama Adelaide Tambo with Department of Social Development, they were starting development centers in the township. And guess what? I had to compete with people that did computer science, you know, and I was given an opportunity to become a computer trainer manager, a computer trainer facilitator first, then eventually promoted to becoming a manager. And for me, it was now the first time then now getting to work. You know, and the most interesting thing is, while I was in the midst of that, I mean, I had friends that were working at ShopRite, others working at BP or whatever, you know, and I tried to apply, whether to become a waiter. You know, I went to Panarotis, they gave us menus to study these things, and let me tell you, I failed dismally. You know, and even ShopRite opportunities, others, they would get opportunities, but I didn't. And I think at the time, I didn't realize that God had a better plan for me. He didn't want that for me, you know. And now, when I really got to that thing, and my first salary at the time, it was about 2005. And where I come from, guys that are seemingly doing well, guess what? They would build a slab or a back room and drive beautiful cars. You know, and for me, I didn't want that because I was already coming from an informal settlement, you know, so then that's when I bought my very first property. I went to a township called Guatem. I didn't know that township. I had a friend who had just moved back into the country, decided they want to become an estate agent. I got there. It was a 2-bedroom, it was a 4-room house and a semi-detached house. So, but all of those things I didn't understand at the time. So they were selling this house for 70,000, you know, and I put an offer. My offer was accepted. Then from there, she helped me apply for bond, and I was granted bond. you know. And that time when I got there were even people outside. There was a shack outside. People were sitting there drinking mbamba, you know, because that's where they were selling. But I think because of me coming from an informal settlement, seeing that house, I saw possibilities, you know. And at that time I didn't understand to say the beauty about property is that you're able to maximize property. So therefore it's important where you buy property and the kind of property you're buying, you know. And for me it's those things that the humble beginnings that I started on. And my dream was actually one, I remember, is I wanted to buy or build my mother a home, so that we could have a decent home to go to, so that we could have a decent home, you know. But little did I know that years later, I'll be offering thousands homes, and it's something that I'm honored.
This is powerful, and there's so much to pick up from there. I think where I can start is, how did the environment not crush you? What do you put that down to? When you go back, when you rise and fall, and people are saying, "Look at him," you go back to school. Don't be like him. And when you were growing up in the informal settlement and looking at your life where you don't have a lot of dignity in terms of how you're living, how did that not crush you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you like it or not, an environment that sets you back or coming from an impoverished, you know, background, it will affect you. It might not crush you, but it will affect you. So I think for me, two things that I think were behind my drive at the time. The grandfather that raised me, he had 7 children, and he had 27 operations. So therefore, I couldn't be a normal child and be playing on the street. So I always had to be home, either looking after him or even selling. So sometimes I think even that, seeing other at home on the streets, that would hurt me. I think he saw that. And I think the closest thing that he did is that man dreamed on my behalf. You know, let me repeat that. That man dreamed on my behalf. Because one of the things that he used to utter and say with his mouth is that, I pray that God blesses you, you know. And he wouldn't say with a job, but he says, I pray that God blesses you with businesses. You know, I pray God blesses you with a family that will adore you, and you have money that my kids will never have.
Sure.
Do you understand? And that for me was my first point of faith. So, and growing up in church, you know, at some point I felt, man, you know, church is lying to us, because they're saying God is saying this, or the Bible is saying this, you know, that all things, not some things, but all things work together for good to those that love the Lord. My things, you know, are not. Do you understand? And one thing with that, in the midst of that situation, whether it was me putting cardboard in my shoes or doing this, one thing that I knew that I'm destined to be successful. I didn't know when, I didn't know how. Do you understand? And now I can tell you, I'm quite comfortable, but I'm not done. So no man memorize my name, because you're still going to hear of it.
Because of what you do and the level at which you do it. And he's been a coach even on radio, answering random questions from entrepreneurs who just call in and say, my business is going through this, and I'll listen and think, yeah, I wonder how he's going to answer this one. And brother, you are on point like every day, random questions. That's solid. Did you fix the school situation?
Yeah, I'm still fixing the school situation. The reason I got late, I had an exam that was running till 2. I was writing accounting. So I'm actually doing my PhD. So I'm doing my PhD and my second master's. Yeah. So, and one thing that I want to say to people that are sitting there, and that you might not know, we've had people saying we've got one of the best constitutions in this country, you know, and which that is arguable. There's parts of the constitution that are good, there's part of the constitution that are bad. But let me tell you, South Africa's got one of the most best education system there is. Do you know that some of you sitting here, you might say you're not qualified and this and this and that. In South Africa, there's what we call RPL, which is recognition of prior learning. Let me repeat that. There's what we call recognition of prior learning. Where else that what you can do, you could take your experience and put that on paper and put a portfolio of evidence, or even put some of the lousy courses, whether it's free courses that whoever is doing online, whatever, take advantage of all of those things, and you could put them together, and they could determine to say, based on your experience and what you've done and the certificates or workshops or whatever that you've done, therefore you qualify to be recognized on NQF level so and so. You know, so therefore, for you to get into a university system, you know, or an education system, therefore that could work as your minimum base for you to actually get to be there. And additionally to that, in our country, do know postgrad, not only in our country but globally, you know, there's a lot of money that is put there that you get paid for you to go to school and actually study. You know, right now, some of you next year, if ever you want, you know, you could actually go study in Germany, go study in Australia, go study in whatever. Because even from a trade agreement point of view, there's, go to the website for Department of Higher Education, you'll see there's bursaries that allow you to actually study. But half of the time, this is information that is not known because most of us, do you understand? Hence, they say if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, you know? So we're more chasing information that has to do with tenders than with information that has to do with empowerment.
Nice.
Do you understand? Yeah. So that is just mainly from that basis. And not only that, even from a CETA's point of view in our country, you know, we've got CETAs, you know, across different industries. Those CETAs have got development programs, depending whether you're doing in the arts, you know, there's MEP CETA, whether you're doing water, air, or you're doing energy, there's these different CETAs that annually are given budgets to identify and fund skills, you know, from individuals to actually empower them for them to come make a difference in our country. Do you know? But there's a few of us that take advantage of these things because what? We do not make it our business to know our business.
All right, so I'm picking up something that Mkulu was saying to you, that I pray that God blesses you and you have the kind of money that my sons never made. At that time, how was that prayer and that advice landing on you? Because it's possible for someone to say, you're going to be big, and your mind just says, yeah, you're just saying it. And you, how did it land for you at the time?
It was not landing. It was not landing, you know, and for me, I mean, the closest thing that a business person that you'd see, it's a guy running a spaza shop, a guy owning a shop, a guy owning taxis, whatever. I never knew what a business person is. Do you understand? So, and let me tell you what, fast forward now years later, you know, I hear someone on radio, then I take the number. Fast forward 2 years later, I go to this client. I'm trying to run my own business. I fix computers. And they say, can you do websites? You know, I didn't say, I cannot. One thing that I've never refused to do, even today, I don't say I don't know. You know, they say, can you do website? I said, you know? So, and guess what? I said, we'll set up a meeting, we'll discuss that. When I left that meeting, I knew that I had this phone number, and even if I didn't have, I was going to find someone that can do websites. You know, so then from there, I remembered, phoned the office, and that was given away, the office number. Then met someone that changed my life for good. You know, I met a guy called Zubusiso Mkhwanazi. At the time, he was 21. You know, at the time, he was 23, and he has made his first million at 21. So, and we went to this meeting, and the meeting went well. After the meeting, we decided to go have quarters. And he asked me to say, what is your dream? What do you want? You know, I said, my dream is to become a millionaire by the age of 35. Yeah. I said, your dream is what? I said, my dream is to be a millionaire by the age of 35. And he said, but why do you want to be a millionaire then? Well, you could be a millionaire now. I come from the township. We don't talk like that. Do you understand? And if ever with some of my interviews, especially recently, one of the things that you'd pick up, I try by all means to tell that part of the story because it changed my life, and I'll tell you why. Because one, not only the township, but right now, for me, it's important that I give this man his flowers while he's still alive. Do you understand? He's the CEO and the owner of Avatar. It's one of the largest black-owned digital advertising agents in the country as we speak. You know, and this man, I asked him, but what do you mean? You know, teach me. And he said, no, I'll teach you how to become a millionaire, but I'll have to first teach you my God.
Can you repeat that?
So he said, I'll teach you how to become a millionaire, but I'll first have to teach you how to become, I'll first have to teach you my God. You know how politicians, they give you struggled credentials. You know, I was giving my Christian credentials. No, I'm a chief altar server at church. I'm doing this and this. And then he says, no, not all of that, but I want to teach you how to become intimate with God. You know, and for me, all of that at the time, you know, it was foreign. And he said to me, tell me, can you walk in at any bank and go service them? I said, no, I can't. I can only walk in if ever I walk in with the likes of your Dimension Data, so and so. So I started mentioning these companies. And you see, he says, you see, that's the difference between me and you. I can walk into a bank and service them as a client and you can't. You know, and that for me, guys, that's when I've understood the power of spirituality. To say success and spirituality, those two things you cannot separate. And right now, it's also want to emphasize the importance of having the right kind of mentor. You know, so which with that, I've realized to say, who speaks over your life, whether it's your pastor, your mentor, or your coach, or your friend, it's important because that can either make you or break you. So for me, having that encounter with that man showed me or gave me possibilities to say this thing is possible. Do you understand? And right now, I wouldn't have believed that it's impossible or it's possible if ever he didn't instill his faith, you know, to me, to understand, to say, you know, sometimes, you know, the Bible was not misleading us after all, because you need to have the right kind of confidence or the right kind of faith. Are you seeing my hand? The right kind of confidence and the right kind of faith. You know, that is crazy faith and crazy confidence. Do you understand? But the minute you doubt and don't understand the kind of God that you're praying to, you wouldn't go and knock. So for me, that I've realized that it's important. So therefore, I had even earlier, I was listening to some of the mental questions that were coming to say, I mean, even I think Prasol said something very important. There's a lot of people that could easily become your mentors, but they could lead you astray. Because whoever that you're connecting with, there's your energy, you know? So hence as well, it's important who you share your bed with. That can either make you or break you. Just whether you're married to this person, whether this person is your friend, whether this person is your girlfriend or is your boyfriend, you know, be careful as to this person that you're bringing next to you. You know, and sometimes these are the things that we're not taught at home. These are the things that we don't sit and discuss as friends, whether it's over a braai stand or even over a table. Do you understand? So that's why that is important, because remember what the person speaks, you know, you are also listening, you are also consuming. And sometimes you realize that there's people that are sitting in the township, not to say there's anything wrong with them, but the mistake that they've done, they shared the bed or they slept with the wrong person.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about your favorite principle. Playing small is the most dangerous thing that people do. Over to you.
My motto is go big or go home. Let me repeat that. My motto is go big or go home. One of the things my mentor, the same guy Zwisiso, taught me, he said he doesn't touch any business that within the first 2 years, it's not going to make $1 million. Let me repeat that. He doesn't touch any business that within the first $1 million, the first 2 years, doesn't have a chance of making $1 million, And right now, one of the key things that he says, the problem with us black people, we fear making profit. Yeah. Let me repeat that. The problem with us black people is that we fear making profit. Do you understand? And that's why somehow, and have you seen the most interesting thing, whether you are employed or whatever, you are in an interview, so, and the company asks you to say, now they're getting to the finance issue, to say, so therefore, how much do we need to pay you? Can I tell you the most, so even people are laughing, can I tell you the most interesting thing that I've realized we do? And I've not seen, today I sit on boards, we interview people all the time. And I've paid attention to this. I've never seen any other race but black people to say, when we get to that point, black people, the minute you ask them to say, how much do we need to pay you? We're the only culture, the only people that laugh. You don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm glad that because I'm glad some of you can relate because you are guilty, So and I want to tell you this today. Your money is not a laughing matter. Your money and your livelihood, it's not a laughing matter. So if ever there's one time that you need to be serious about you being asked that question, to say, so how much you need to pay you, that's the one time in the interview you need to be most serious. And then from there, after we go, then from there, then we start relating to say, I'm currently getting. So you've not even asked, what budget are you sitting on? Or my research on the budget is this. Maybe you could be getting whatever because you are being underpaid. But the minute now you start quoting to say, I'm currently getting, so therefore you're already giving them a benchmark. Because if ever you can say, I'm currently getting 20,000, so you can give me 40. Do you understand? You'll be thinking or say they're going to say you're crazy because that's double what you want. And basically from there, then we benchmark. Half of the time, I don't know, the most interesting thing, I don't know where we like adding 2,000 or 3,000 extra. We never exceed 5. we never exceed 5. Do you understand? So it's something that for me, I want to say to you today, to say, take your money serious. That should not be a laughing matter, and that should be the one point in your life where you never laugh. Do you understand? And that's why even in our businesses, do not, I repeat, do not make money, your competing factor. Okay. If someone doesn't afford you, they can rather move to someone else. Do you understand? But if ever then someone is going to come wanting to drop me from a basis of my price, so for me, it gives me the impression to say this person doesn't see your value. Because when you go to Pick and Pay, you don't negotiate. And I don't know why. I negotiate. Do you understand? So there's places where we need to be negotiating, we don't. But right now, to that mama who's selling mealie on the street or that is trying out that small business, whatever, we want to negotiate. So for me, if ever I know my budget is that I'm supporting a small business, I'll give you extra. Or I'd say, no, let me rather take these ones or you keep the change or something because I understand what this person is trying to do. Do you understand? So now, money is the most uncomfortable discussion for us, and I think it's something that sometimes limits us. So I've realized to say, I'm destined for great things. So, and I've understood that money calls me daddy.
Hey, you okay?
So therefore, that's why I do not run a business for black people. I'm running a business. I'm not hustling. I'm running a business. And that's why even from a property deals point of view, for me, it's a numbers thing. If from the onset now, some of you have heard you guys want to get into property. If ever from the onset, you do not have a property strategy to say, this is what you, because remember, this is not a charity, guys. It's business. You're getting into this to make money. You must have a property strategy. You must have a financial strategy. I mean, my brother was breaking down, in terms of, capital gains tax and this and that, So even from a tax point of view, there's a strategy in everything, and if ever your strategy is driven around a number, then there's a lot of things that you're able to do, and there's a lot of things you're able to go around. But now, for as long as we're still uncomfortable talking about money, for me, it's a problem with us black people.
Wow. You see why I was saying, even in the interview, my chair was hot. I was feeling like, hey, this is now a personal attack. I need to live here and work. So, Teboho, how is the situation like when you go back to your homeboys, the ones you grew up with, and they see how far you've gone and they didn't move as much? What's that like?
Okay, it hurts. And the reason I'm saying it hurts because there's people that come from where I came from and that couldn't come out of the situation. There's people that came from where we come from. We used to sit like this and plan to say, this is what we want to do in life. And let me tell you, some of them along the way have fallen off. So I love the township. My first house was there, and I was certain that for the longest time of my life, I'm going to stay in the township so that I become an inspiration to someone else. But let me tell you, it gets to a point where you grow so much that now where you come from can no longer consume who you've become. So you grow so much that when they see you, others, they see doulas, somebody that they could mark, somebody they could take advantage of, somebody they could, So there's people that, I've got friends at this day and age that are doing so well that now are having bodyguards. And sometimes it's easy to sit and be thinking, this person is just trying to show off, And it's because now the crime levels in our country, the unfortunate thing about us is that in enemy of a black man, it's another black man. In enemy of a black woman, it's another black woman. Do you understand? So up until we're in a point where we could comfortably celebrate each other, up until we got to a point where we could raise each other, do you understand? It's something else. It's said that some of these friends that who I've become, they can no longer relate with me because the language has changed, And one thing that I'll say to you, I think my sister, you put it beautifully to say, you were speaking about mentors, to say as you grow, some of the mentors can no longer fit who you become, because the mentor that got you from here to here, will not be sometimes a mentor that takes you from here to here. Embrace the fact to say at different stages in your life, there'll be different people. So there'll be friends that genuinely celebrate you, those you keep, and that as well are willing to learn from you or grow from you. But there's others that will just sit with you because they're looking for your weakness. Others would sit with you because they're looking at when to strike. And the sad part is that this is not only in terms of your friends, but sometimes even your own family. Yeah. Could be your sibling, could be your cousin, could be your whatever, So as you grow, become overprotective with your space. Be surrounded by people that speak what you speak, that see what you see. If they're not, but at least be with people that want to at least get there. And people that want to get there with you, because it's people that will be hungry with you. When you say there's an opportunity there, they'll also be able to dust themselves and say, let's go for it, So for me, it's important to say, as friends, let's grow together, even as partners. If you're going to be married or be dating someone and you're growing alone and you're not growing with them, it's going to get to a point that you'll not be able to relate. So for me, the different people in your different stages of life, it's important to embrace and understand, to say those that need to fall off, let them fall off. And those that you need to take with you, take with you. Because it's really sad that these people, you come from them, you come from where they are, and some of them are still there. You know, one guy, a quick story.
Yeah.
When I was selling at school, this guy used to steal my stock. You know, and I'll sell cakes and whatever. He used to steal my stock and whatsoever. So now I went. So now to my township. So I was looking for this other friend that I'm trying to groom or we in this with. So now he happened to be somewhere they chilling together. So when I get there and I start parking, so some girls like, nice car. So my windows are dark. So when I come out, you know, they start admiring. So I don't know what they commented and said. This guy felt the need to say to these girls, they don't know me, they don't know that I'm a high school dropout or whatever. You know, he says, yeah, no, you see, he's driving a beautiful car like this. You'll never believe that he's actually a high school dropout. And I used to steal his stock at school. You know, and they happen to be laughing, you know, and I hate, you know. One thing is I'm very humble, you know, I'm not one to look down on people. But this one I had to put him in his place. You know, I said, no, that explains why I'm the millionaire and you're still here.
Shots fired.
But can you say a few words to someone who is genuinely trying, but it's not working?
It's difficult to become a visionary. It's difficult to be a barrier breaker. It's difficult in your family to be the one that called to change the situation. You know, and in every family, there becomes this one person that changes everything for everyone. You know, my employees the other day asked me to say, but you're doing well, you don't need to be going to school. Why are you going to school? And for me, it's personal because I wanted to break a cycle. In my family, I don't know someone that had gotten that far, you know, and because of the amount of struggle that I went through and I saw people go through. One thing that I could say, the worst thing that you could ever do is to lose hope. That's the worst thing that you could do. There's people that I used to look up to in the township, and when I see them today, my tears share. And you could see that this person has given up, you know, and I think there's nothing as worse as that, because the minute you've lost hope, you know, it doesn't matter who says what, your faith follows. You know, one thing that I want to say to you, and I'll say this coming from the most impoverished background, coming from the most poorest of backgrounds, to say, do not give up. I don't care whether you're a local, I don't care whether you're an immigrant and this and that, you know. I've been an immigrant in other countries, you know, and I've seen God show up. I've been an immigrant in other countries, you know, and I've seen God use people, you know, and for me, it's that hope that I've always held on. Do you understand? And so, or knock, try to open up doors, and if they shut doors, you know, or sometimes even change direction, you know. And one of the key things that I've learned is let's not be afraid to ask for help. Let's not be afraid to ask for help. I've realized to say, if you're asking for help genuinely, there'll be people that are willing to help you, you know. And I'm not saying help for you to go to someone to say, please give me money. You know, sometimes, I mean, I grew up in a generation where we used to volunteer. You know, I didn't miraculously start servicing big clients. Some of the clients that I serviced, I went to those companies and I was willing to work for free or volunteer. Some of these companies, I went to them, offered my services for free in exchange for a reference letter.
Sure.
You know, and guess what? Some of these companies, you know, today it's big beverage companies. They were already big that time. But now, let me make an example. In this room, who doesn't like freebies?
No.
Do you understand? So therefore, right now, if ever then you'd say you'd come to Coach Nthoana and say, listen, my company does social media, or my company does production. You know, can we do any exchange of some kind? Can I volunteer, or can I give you this service? Maybe that is worth this much, you know? And in exchange, just give me credits on your podcast, or just give me a mention, you know, or give me a reference letter, or do this and that. Do you understand? So tell me you wouldn't do it.
I'll do it. I have done it.
You see, sometimes that's all that it takes. But right now, you take people from the township. Some of them, you want to change their life. The first question that they're going to ask you is, "Uzong patala malin? How much you going to pay me?" You know. And one thing that I'll tell you now is, I learned very early on and through this mentor of mine to say there's two kinds of job. There'll be a job that pays you, but that kills you. And there'll be a job that does not pay you, but that will grow you. You know, at some point at that age, I didn't understand to say, for me, I felt this man was exploiting me, was paying me whatever. But it's interesting how whatever that I learned from him, or that he implanted with me, do you understand, has gone ahead to make me millions repeatedly over years. Do you understand? So it's really that to say, sometimes it's just you having to give an opportunity. There's people that, I have a friend of mine, my only friend, Dumi, that has ever come into my life and said, "Dude, my situation is bad. Can I work for you? Don't pay me." And let me tell you, this guy was working more than people that I was paying. I got embarrassed and ended up paying him, you know, because he was working so much. He showed me his value. And one of the things that I always say to my team is, make it difficult for me to live without you. Because the minute I can able to live without you, do you understand, I will replace you. Same goes for a friend, goes for that partner. Make it difficult for this person to live without you. So now, right now, you know that you are here, you don't have an opportunity, your business not doing all, or is not doing this and that. But now, how are you exchanging, or what value are you giving or creating for this person for them to give you their time? So one of the key things that my sister mentioned very early, it says, at this day and age, it's difficult to have a mentor that would genuinely have your best interests at heart. You know, there's things that I wanted, I couldn't have mentored. Guess what? I paid coaches, you know, for them to teach me, or for them to prepare me to. Because remember, I come from the township, I'm running this business. So now all of a sudden, I'm in corporate, I need to sit in boardroom with people that have gone to school. Do you understand? So the question is, would my attitude and whatever from the township carry me here? It wouldn't. Do you understand? So therefore, it's me recognizing to say, at different stages in my life, I needed to be a different person. So therefore, if it means me educating myself, getting a mentor, getting a coach, paying someone to prepare me to be in this, do you understand? For me, that is the one thing. Do you understand? If it means me exchanging my service for someone to say, this is my value, and this is the value that I could give you. In exchange, and I just need your time, let's say 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month, for me, it goes a long way. Do you understand? And when that person has given you that time, utilize that time as if your life is dependent on it. And because of that, you know, for me, because of a mentor that I had, I didn't know that I could sit in boards. Do you understand? Because of a mentor that I had, I didn't know that, you know what, you could actually buy businesses without using money.
Hey,
There's what we call sweat equity. Right now, he's running a business. I could be running a business. Let me make an example with the digital services. Your specialty could be digital. You could say, I see you running this amazing business, but however you struggle with this. I'd like to buy into your business. I don't have money to buy into your business. You know, or I'm good at sales. I'm good at marketing. I'm doing this and that. So I'd like to buy into your business to say, let me work with you, you know, and I'll go out chase clients, or I'll give you marketing services, and from a return on investment marketing, I can give you so much clients that will give you so much. So instead of paying me, I'd like to have equity in your business. Do you understand? So, and that is that, it's an exchange. Was money exchange? No, it wasn't. Do you understand? So that for me, you know, has opened up a total different world. Right now, I play spaces and industries that I never dreamt I could. You know, but I remember saying earlier, I refuse to say I don't know. At least I'll go out and find out and I'll know. And I'll come back and do it better than people that are doing it. Do you understand? So that for me is important to say, look at your situation and be honest with yourself. Who are you following on social media? Are you following people that every week they are telling you parties and whatsoever and you learn nothing from it? Do you understand? So for me, I audit. Do you understand? I audit. I follow people that are speaking the language that I want to speak, people that I want to learn from, people that I want to do. I cannot be following people that, when it's just jokes all the way. Life is not a joke. You know, people are partying all the time. What are we celebrating? Poverty. Do you understand? So for me, it's small things like that. But because sometimes we never take time and do introspection, switch off that Netflix, switch off that TV, be honest with your situation and with yourself. You'll be able to tell, to say, is this business making money? You know, are you in the right niche? You know, and let's stop being everything to everyone. Because right now, someone sent you a profile. In their profile, I'm a contractor, I'm a painter, I'm a builder, I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a this. And that's why we do not get opportunities. But when we look at our counterparts, they're specialists. You know, they might be building this house. Somebody that does painting is one person, does nothing but painting. Someone that does plumbing or glazing, it's one person that does that. They come in, they go out. You understand? Sometimes people cannot, you know, put us all in certain places because we do not have an area of speciality. Do you understand? Right now, with me, my area of specialty is I turn around businesses. I love money. I turn around businesses. Do you understand? Whether it's property deals, it's this and that. So people that struggle with turning around their situation or their businesses, they come to me. I do nothing else. If ever I want a tech specialist, I've got tech specialists that specializes. People that I will go to and sit. And I've realized the value to say, I'd rather pay extra with this person or pay my bill higher with this person, but I know that the amount of money they save me, it's priceless. You know, the problem is we want to be everything to everyone. Here, there's businesses that could service each other and barter. You know, to say, you're doing marketing, you're doing accounting, you're doing whatever, I'll do your accounting services. You know, right now it's a new business. By the time you're doing your website, you've got 10 logos or 10 clients that have given you letters to say you're doing accounting services for them. But are they paying? Chances are no. But Runa, on the other end, we don't see that. And I'm looking at this reference letter. Oh, you're doing for so and so. Oh, no, I know Ntando. You know, I know so and so. No, come do something for me. So we never put ourselves out there. We always like to be, if the circle of people that you're with, they're playing small, change the circle. If you're in the circle and you're the smartest in that circle, change that circle.
Amen.